Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're going to talk about why Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition has to remain the primary game of every engaged, serious Dungeon Master or Game Master out there. It has to be your 51% game. This has been my primary push for the entire year of 2021, and the reason we're going to talk about it today is there's a very real-world, practical example of how powerful Dungeons & Dragons really is, and just why it remains important, right? And so let's get into this. All right. So spoilers for... so we're going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie has accomplished things that no other movie in the world has accomplished. It's a new level of movie success, right? And it shows how an intellectual property can surge forward and leave the entire industry behind to a point where the entire industry is getting to the point where it has no ability to catch up, right? Virtually has really no ability to catch up. All right, so let's talk about this. All right. By the way, spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's jump into this. So I just saw Spider-Man No Way Home with my family last night. So we actually waited until the whole family was together for Christmas Eve. Our entire family saw it together except my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter is new in her career, and so she's like on she doesn't have enough vacation days to get long Christmas vacations, and so we really missed that she couldn't be with us. But 5 out of 6 members of my family were there. So my oldest son, my youngest son, my youngest daughter, 5 out of 6 of us were together, and we went to see Spider-Man No Way Home. It was, I can tell you right now, I've been doing this a long time. I've been married for 30 years. I just celebrated my 30th anniversary, and I have 4 kids, right? And I can tell you as a Christian, a husband, and a father, you can tell when you're building a memory and there's a moment, you know what I mean? And we watched this movie, and this is my entire point. I've been telling you, Dungeons & Dragons is not a game, okay? I say it all the time. Nobody, like 99% of people do not see what I'm saying. I think I'm starting to reach a 1%. I really do. I think people are like, yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, Scott. So I used to say nobody. That's not true anymore. I think there's about 1% of the people I'm talking to are like, yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, right? If you think Spider-Man No Way Home is a movie, boy, are you not paying attention. This is Spider-Man No Way Home is exhibiting exactly what I'm saying about Dungeons & Dragons. It's ahead of Dungeons & Dragons. The world is seeing what I'm saying about Dungeons & Dragons with Spider-Man No Way Home. Let's talk about it, right? So, Scott, Spider-Man No Way Home is just a movie. It's just a movie. It's not really more than that. Silly to think it is. You ain't paying attention. I'm going to give you the data right now, all right? It's patterns, it's logic, right? If you think Spider-Man No Way Home is a film, you are not paying attention. So what did Spider-Man No Way Home do? It did something that's never been done before in any film, okay? First of all, it fused together 3 people playing the same character, right? Tom Holland, the now Spider-Man, okay? The Andrew Garfield, the then Spider-Man. The Tobey Maguire, the then Spider-Man, right? This is decades across. So to make this movie, you had to span decades of time. You had to span corporate rifts that are as large as the Grand Canyon, right? People talk about movie magic, and they're like, "Oh, the CGI wasn't real." Do you understand what the real movie magic for this was? It was the corporate lawyers who pulled all this together and made it possible for 3 Spider-Mans spanning 2 decades to be on the same screen at the same time, right? And they did not stop there. Tom Hardy's Venom is in this film, okay? Venom is 2 complete junk movies. I've never even seen one of the Venom movies, and the reason why is they're Sony non-MCU movies That's a waste of my time. I know it. I'm not going to see them, right? I never expected in a million years to see Tom Hardy, who plays Venom, in an MCU movie. The fact that he's there, you have no idea the heaven and earth they had to move to get him there, right? To actually, specifically, to get the Marvel executives to not be upset to have these junk movies attached to their franchise, right? It's incredible, right? And then, in addition to that, you had to go and get the Netflix Daredevil actor and tie in the Netflix canceled junk shows, right? And tie them to the MCU. This is 5 different major, succinct, different worlds that are all, right? That are all being placed together into one world, right? And what it's telling every Hollywood executive, right, on day one of 2022 is going to say, we need to go back and we need to understand and figure out everything we have. All of it's going into a multiverse, and we're going to start mixing television shows that never had any business together, right? And that there isn't even a logical reason to connect, because Spider-Man No Way Home has shown that the future is a level of historical connection with the now, right? Not isolated, not begging people to watch the 2002 movie, Spider-Man movie, but saying, see the 2002 Spider-Man in the 2021 Spider-Man. And then you can go watch that old junk. Don't watch it beforehand, right? But together, the now can infuse the then with value. It doesn't really work the other way around for IPs. The old IPs do not excite people for the now, right? It's the wrong flow, right? But this movie has and you're like, oh, well, Scott, is this the movie and some people saw it? No, pay attention. Don't stop thinking, okay? So what else does it accomplish? Well, it accomplishes 3 things, okay? Here's the first, right? First of all, you had a movie called Avengers Endgame, right? Avengers Endgame said, hey, we've done the most successful movie franchise in history, and we've done it faster than anybody else. In 10 years, we had 25 movies. We've broken we've broken the industry. We've shown a completely new model, right? We are the kings now. That's what Disney said, right? And it started before Disney, but Disney finished it, right? And when Avengers Endgame was done, I'll tell you, I and a lot of other people were like, is this over, right? And then WandaVision came out, and you know what we said? Is this over? It looks like it's over. And then, Captain America and Winter Soldier came out, and we were like, yeah, I guess this is over, right? And then What If came out, and people were like, wait, maybe the MCU isn't over, right? And then Hawkeye came out, and people were like, ooh, this is exciting. Black Widow was there. People were like, yeah, it looks like it's over. Yeah. And then Shang-Chi came along, and people were like, wait, there might be life in this, right? And then Eternals came out, and they were like, ooh, nah, it's definitely over, right? And there was just this constant back and forth question of, is the MCU over? Well, I'll tell you right now, Spider-Man No Way Home, it drops in December of 2021, right? March 2020, the world changed, right? And everybody was like, is the entire movie industry over? Right? Well, in one fell swoop, Spider-Man No Way Home answers all the questions. It's like the MCU ain't over, and movies aren't over. Here's $1 billion. That's the kind of real money that streamers cannot produce, right? And there's a real reason to have 8,000 of these buildings all over the United States of America. And the MCU, if you thought it was over, you were dead wrong. Because we just dropped one of the best MCU movies that ever exists, right? And we moved heaven and earth to get it done, right? It is staggeringly amazing, right? And then, now here's the other one, right? And you're like, oh, well, some corporations won, and I guess we answered some cultural questions for America. Is that important, Scott? Yes, it is, right? And movies don't just come out and say, hey, you know what? This entire industry is valid. Oh, and you know what? Maybe we should live like, March 2020 came, right? And like, this movie was people $1 billion. That means people went to see it in real numbers, right? And guess what? There's no streamer. If you went to see this, you were like, you know what? I am not caving up. I am not caving up. I'm not going to pretend that my life ended in 2020 March. It was an entire country saying, you know what? Art matters. It matters at a level where we will risk. Art matters. It was a dramatic shout to the world. No, we're not going to cave up anymore. We're going to see this. It doesn't matter. The risk is worth it. Art matters. It's more than pictures on a screen. It's more, right? Last one, okay? This movie and other movies this year, there are nations on this planet that said, you cannot see this movie. In America, they're like, freedom and liberty, Spider-Man No Way Home. You watch what you want to watch. You can watch any country you can watch any movie you want from any country in the world. Other countries are like, we cannot allow you to see the MCU because freedom and liberty sprays out of the screen so powerfully that our people will think they're due freedom and liberty, right? Instead of control and limitation, right? And Spider-Man No Way Home makes it harder for those nations to say the MCU doesn't matter because it didn't end. The fire hose of freedom and liberty, the idea that America matters and our model of freedom and liberty is the best in the world and produces the best for its people, right? It shames every nation that hasn't the courage or the willingness to allow their people to see what true freedom and liberty is, because it's terrifying to them, right? This movie is a world maker and a world breaker. It says to entire shockingly large nations, your courage lacks, right? This was more than a movie. And if you look at Spider-Man No Way Home and you think all it is pictures on a screen, you are objectively wrong, right? And if you look at Dungeons & Dragons right now and you think it's just a game and you don't understand that identity, that unbound identity and unbound immersion has shockingly changed this world, well, you have an excuse. D&D is 10 or 15 years behind. It's hard to see with D&D now what can be clearly seen with Spider-Man No Way Home. I see it as clear as day. And about 1% of the people that listen to me, they see it too now. There's a few. Thank God. I really feel like I broke through the ice and reached a few people, right? But the reality is, you're gonna see it, right? If we continue to move forward, there is nothing Marvel is doing that is not due to the Dungeons & Dragons intellectual property, right? And our time is coming. We have a global film coming. And we have lots of other opportunities to allow people to see what I see, right? So if you can't understand what I'm saying about Dungeons & Dragons not being game, that it's far more than that, right? Look at Spider-Man No Way Home and just see how shockingly clear it is that this thing has transcended beyond being a movie and is clearly demonstrating every world-improving, every, shockingly powerful attribute that I point to with Dungeons & Dragons. All that's my opinion. Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.